my God, look at that bicep. It's so bad. It's so ridiculous, isn't it? Anyway, good morning, team. How are we? So we are live. It's so ridiculous. I probably should have got surgery when I had the opportunity, but now it's pretty much because it snapped here, it's now fused to this part of the bone, so it doesn't really do anything from there.
I didn't realize you could get surgery to fix that.
Yeah, well, it would have been pretty much just cosmetic. That's for the reason. But, whether that's good or not, who cares? All right, team, what's going on? We got some crew coming in here live to join us for this one. We're going to be starting in 3 minutes. Look at you, Shauno. First one in the list, mate. Appreciate your support as always, Sean. Now, guys, I'm going to try this again because we do have 2 or 3 minutes before we do start. Let me just direct you to see if this works yet. Okay, so you can see the video of us, right? Now, in the body of the video, scroll down to the bottom and you should see a link that says Restream. If you click Restream, it should allow you to appear like Sean does, so we know who you are. Instead of Morning Legends and me going, that's maybe Mike. See if you can click it then. Just try it again, Tez. Doesn't work, Tez? Doesn't work, bro? I don't know what's going on. Guys, anyway, we're starting in 2 minutes and we are going to rock and roll. So if you're coming into this one live, let us know that you're here. And if you watch this one on replay, please let us know that you are coming in on replay, that you got the love, because this is going to be a really freaking good chat. So I might get into the live of the women's group and let everyone know that we are here and ready to rock and roll. How are you this morning, Ez? You feeling good?
I'm good, yeah. I love getting up early. It's the best way to start my day. I just love it.
Yeah, dude. Totally agree. Good morning, Eden. I hope you are well, my friend. We've got Kylie Thorne. Hey, Kylie. I hope you're good. Beck Hewitt as well. Hello, Beck. Good to see you coming in here for some live juiciness early on in the morning. Guys, we will be getting started on this one in 1 minute. Hello, Danny boy. Lovely to have your company here, champion. Really stepping it up this week, I can see it. Good morning, Nikki, friend. Thanks for coming in for this one, buddy. Freddie, good evening, champion. Lovely to have you here as well. Guys, we're starting in 30 seconds. We've got all the crew. This is awesome. All right, so as you can see, I'm joined by, I was going to say my better half, but that's not you. What I just meant was a better looking half. So we got some stuff going on this morning, guys, and we're going to be going deep in this podcast. So are you ready to rock and roll, coach?
Always.
All right. So let's get this started, guys. Let's get this pumping. If you do come in and watch this on replay, make sure you hashtag replay in the comments. And here we go on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. Now today, as you can see if you're listening to this live, we are joined by the beautiful coach Ez. How are you, Ez? You good?
I'm good. Good.
That's lovely. Looking sparkling in your green. We are bringing her on the podcast because, to be honest, I was reflecting on this morning. I think that Erin is our greatest ever female transformation. We got some good ones going on, but the complete change in this girl is incredible. And I think since becoming a BBA coach, we've probably not given her the accolades that she's deserved. I mean, her physical transformation alone, losing 15, 20 kilograms, and she's not a big person, that's one thing. But her mental transformation, a complete another thing. Unbelievable. Taking herself from a very, very self-doubting, low self-esteem place to now a leader that sits by Coach Carly's side as head coach, helping other women get moving in their transformation. I was lucky enough to be at Erin's wedding to a beautiful man, Drew, in the later part of last year. And I remember just looking at her from the crowd on her big day. She looked like an absolute princess. And I know people say that all the time, but she actually really did. Beautiful tan, dark skin at the time. long flowing white dress, her black jet hair coming out the back. Like, it was a bloody magical moment looking at it. And I think Erin would be the absolute last person to refer to herself as a princess. She's actually
Yep.
the exact opposite. She's an honest, tell it as it is woman that wears her heart on her shoulder, and she is authentic to the bone. She's the type of woman that you want to have a beer with, or that'd lend you her shoulder to cry on. And over the last 12 to 18 months, she's been through some huge, huge ups and downs. Yet the courage that she's displayed throughout and her willingness to keep showing up for herself and for our community is inspiring. And while she's a coach, as any of you have gotten to know her and certainly understand her, you see how much she actually cares. Now, the reason I've asked her to get on the show with us today is to talk about how to have courage when emotions are high, because she's been through them, and how to give less fucks about the opinion and judgments of other people. Now, there may be tears during this chat, potentially, but I know many of you, particularly our female clients, will take inspiration from this. So, Erin, welcome to the podcast. Is this the first time we've done a chat like this before, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Once.
I did the podcast when I first came on as a coach, and that was like introducing me as a coach, and that was very, very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Things have changed a lot since then. So let's start by going over maybe the last year. Talk to us, like, what's it like for a woman to go from Erin Waters to Erin Priest? Like, change last names. What, like, has marriage changed anything for you, or is it same old same?
No.
Really?
It's exactly the same. I mean, I guess when you have found like your life person, it's kind of just like that final tick off, and it just feels really nice that we're solid, that's us, and that's us forever. And that feels really, really nice to have someone there that's on the same page. And I think just marriage outside of it, like just to know that we're solid with each other is just really comforting, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? The way that Drew supported your transition into coaching, but more importantly, pre-coaching supported your transformation. Now, I want to get a silent head nod from all of you that have a really supportive partner. Because I tell you what, you've got an advantage, okay? You've got an advantage. If you have a partner that supports you in your transformation, whatever that transformation is, if you have a partner that is supportive, my God, you're halfway there. Particularly if you share the cooking or share the kids or share responsibilities around the house. It's so hard to do it by yourself. So let's talk about last year. You lost your dad like way too young. 67?
61.
60, wow,
61.
Okay. Wow, Jesus Christ. What type of figure was your dad in your life, mate?
I mean, he was just everything, such a hard worker. As a kid growing up, he just did it all, alongside with my mum. Like, they worked together really well as a team, and just watching them do their absolute best and work so hard for us kids. I never really appreciated it when I was younger, but I look back now and I think, wow, like, some people just aren't lucky enough to have that, and to have people to look up to give you that idea of what life can be, or, what working hard can do for you. He was just such a positive person, and it's even weird, like, talking about him in this sense of he was like that. Just, it feels like that's reality, but it feels very jagged saying that, because there's times where I still forget that he's not here. He was just, it's very hard to explain what sort of person he was in my life, because, he was my dad and right there from day one, and, always open arms, and he was tough on me when I needed it. He, was loving to me when I needed it, and just always there,
Mm. And so
could
to
always be.
all of those of you that have lost a parent or both parents, you know how hard that is to go through. Assuming that you were close to your parents, you know exactly what it's like, because Erin was very, very close to her dad. Um, Looking back, as how did you, like, at least from the outside, I think that you handled that emotionally, like, unbelievably well. But I think for a lot of people, the question mark might be, did you kind of block out your emotions? Or do you think that you've just got better at handling them? Because when you and I first reconnected, because we, lived apart for a very long period of time, maybe 3 years ago, you were still that, like, crazy, emotional, like, erratic, fucking flip in a second girl, right? So how do you think you handled that? Like, looking back on it now.
I'm very, very proud of myself of how I handled it. I think, again, like you said about having a supportive partner really, really helped.
Mm.
Um, there's a lot of like two sides to this. I think I handled it very well, but I also think there was a part of me that did block certain things out because they were very, very raw. Um, and there were a couple of times where, you know, the day that dad passed, like there was things that I was a part of, my mum was a part of, my sisters were a part of that were very, very confronting. And I've never experienced that in my life.
Mm.
Um, and coming away from that, I definitely blocked that out because that was so confronting that I didn't even know how to deal with that. And I was a little bit worried that if I dived too deep into that too soon, that I would spiral. And in saying that, having that understanding of myself, I think was really, really important going through that because understanding if I dived into something very emotional, very raw, very real too quickly, that I was going to spiral. So I held myself back a bit from, I guess, yeah, I shut the door on it for a bit and
Well, I
tried
guess
to
there's
forget.
no playbook on how to handle these things, is there? Like,
No,
there's many of us here who've been through absolute turmoil, and there's no playbook. And so, one of the things that I'm truly of the belief of, and listen up, guys, because I think this is a really important point to understand. Um, I believe personally that the most successful, and I say that as a generalized term, successful people in business, transformation, parenting, are people that can remain somewhat equanimous, which basically means they don't have massive highs and massive lows. Far easier to say than to actually do. Take, for example, most of us, like, think about if you're in our program because primarily you wanted to lose some weight, get yourself in a bit of shape. You didn't get out of shape because you wanted to get out of shape. And whilst you might feel that it's the right thing to condemn yourself, oh, I just become a fat, lazy shit. Well, no, I don't think you intended to do that. I don't think that you intended to be lazy. That's not true. What happened was, as a consequence of trying to manage as many things in your life as you can, career, finances, family, relationships, work, it's just like, it feels like it's never ending. And so what ends up happening is you just can't juggle the balls, right? And so when the balls drop, how do you react emotionally? And a lot of us, what we do is we just quit, right? We just say it's just too fucking much. As how was it that you didn't really take too much time off at all? Was that because you felt that your work provided you purpose or something? Like, what was the thing there?
yeah, that's the day after dad passed, the day that he passed, we came back home because they obviously live 5 hours away. The next day, Carly messaged me and said, you up for a gym session?
Mm.
And I sat for a minute and I was like, actually, yeah, I do, because I knew that like the person that she wasn't just going to go deep on talking about it. She was just trying to help get me out of the house and keep me moving. And there was no pressure. It was just there if you want it. And I went and I felt absolutely amazing. We didn't talk about anything to start with. We just went and had a really
Yeah.
good gym session. And in that moment, that made me realize like there's always going to be things that happen in our life that feel really, really hard. And it's not about removing it, it's not about blocking it out, it's not about just sitting there and wallowing in it. There are things that you can do that don't make you feel better, but help you move forward.
Guys,
And
this is a key point, and this is why we're talking about this, because no one chose to be fat because they wanted to. This is the point. What happened was a thing happened in our life, or a collection or a succession of things. It caused an emotion in us. We didn't know how to handle that emotion necessarily. And so what we did was sabotaged off the back of it, right? So there is nothing wrong and everything right, actually, with feeling the emotion. Where the disjoint comes is when, as a consequence of feeling that emotion, you punish yourself. As an example, I should have said this to my dad. I'm an asshole. Now I'm going to go drink. Or I went through a divorce and it's all my fault. And so I'm going to eat myself and go down that line. There's a moment there where you feel the emotion and a behavior happens or it doesn't happen. So what do you think was key to you continuing to show up? Like how were you able to continue to show up through that difficult time and even till now? Because
I don't think
I'm wondering what we can pull out of this or unpack from this that might be like, you know what, I'm going through a hard time at the moment. I can relate to Erin's story, and I find myself slipping. Like, what allowed you? What self talk did you have? What reminders? What practice? Or is it
I
just
was
that you've completely changed as a person? Like, what's going on here to help you keep showing up?
there's I think there's more than one thing that happens here, because yes, I've done the mindset work and I think that that really, really helped. But in saying that, I still had really dark days where, yeah, like you said, I was really hard on myself. And, I felt a sense of guilt that I was feeling so sad and so defeated. But I felt guilty because I was like, my poor mum is like
Mm,
in a worse position than me. And that's a really hard battle to have inside your own head. And it makes you feel very lonely and
mm,
very
mm.
isolated, and not for any other reason. But I think the thing that kept me moving forward and pulling myself out of it was having supportive people around me,
Mm.
um, but just being really, really kind to myself. Like, really kind. If I had a day where I wanted to stay in bed a little bit longer, I stayed in bed a little bit longer,
Mm.
but I got myself out of bed at some point. I didn't just stay there. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest things that I've learned in life. Like, if you're feeling a certain way, it's okay. Like, you don't have to hide from it. You don't have to hold back or, feel like you're putting a dampener on other people's lives. It's okay to feel that way.
Mm.
But, just reminding yourself of where you were, where you are now, where you want to be, and understanding that, like, the world doesn't stop. It
Dude,
doesn't stop for you.
the final question I want to ask around your dad is, in reflection, like, have you drawn any wisdom out of that? Is there any kind of, because of what happened here at a very young age, have you made your own conclusions about life that you've now kind of instituted moving forward?
Yeah, a lot. And some that I probably don't even understand entirely. But One of them is just, we just don't know. We don't know what's going to happen to us and when it's going to happen. And, I lived such a large portion of my life feeling so down and so depressed, and looking at my dad in, the final week, I just thought about the things that he would be thinking. Would he have been happy with how he lived his life? Would he have been proud of the things that he achieved? Like what would he have been thinking? And then that makes me think about, like, what do I want from my life? I want to be happy. What does happiness mean to me? It means doing what I want to do. Stop living by other people's expectations. Stop worrying about what other people think of me. Stop being held back from who I am as a person because I'm worried that it's going to offend someone, or
Mm,
I'm worried someone's going to have an opinion that I just want people to like me, or, like, I think the biggest thing that holds a lot of us back is caring what other people think. And, you know, life is here to be lived. I could not be here tomorrow. And I don't want to ever have regret that I was just so caught up on image and other people and not doing the things that actually make me feel really good.
mm. It's a perfect
Um,
segue into where I want to take this discussion. Um, Having lost close to 20 kilos now, you've decided, and obviously after having a couple of kids, you've decided to go down the line of having, what do they call it? A tummy tuck? Is that what it's called?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And essentially remove the extra skin. And that's happening
hmm
in about 3 or 4 weeks' time. Um, Tell us why you made the decision to do that is.
Um, because I'm a big believer in, and I guess there's a fine line here of accepting your body for what it's done for you, um, and appreciating yourself. Like, I don't look in the mirror and I don't beat myself up about the loose skin. I'm super proud of how far I've come, but also when I look in the mirror, I still feel that sense of the old me there. I feel like I'm still holding on to a part of me that's so long gone.
Mm,
Um, you know, when smaller people lose weight, they go to the shop and they buy new clothes. They have a new sort of sense of identity, I guess, when they buy new clothes and they feel good and they feel confident. For me, it's like I'm wearing this body sack that doesn't fit me anymore. And I don't like being reminded of who I used to be because that person was very, very toxic. And, I've done the internal work. I've been able to get to a point where I feel at peace, but also I don't want to be reminded of who I used to be because I know that I'm never ever going to go back to that. Um my time as a mum, like, I'm not having any more kids, and that's a really hard decision to make as well. And if I had like a thought in my mind that I wanted to have more kids, I definitely would not do this. And another, like, there's so many different things that have come into why I want to get it done. Like, I'm 31 years old and I've had two C-sections, never given birth naturally, and I pee myself. Like, I go to the gym and I'm scared to lift heavy weights in the squat rack because I've, excuse my language, but I've pissed myself at the gym and I've had to walk out. And that shame and that embarrassment that you're like, I'm so young, yet I'm facing these things that can be fixed. I don't have to continue to live like this. It can be fixed. It's not like I've just got to deal with it because that's it. When me and my partner are intimate, it's not what he thinks or what he sees, but it's a massive mood killer when you know what you look like
Can we
and
just like just hold for a second? Guys, this is a public podcast. This podcast is listened to thousands of people. Can you appreciate the leadership here from one of your coaches to come on and talk publicly about pissing herself? And the irony of this that I find is that, and let's take one of our absolute all-time legends in Trav Sanderland. This man lost 50 kilograms. 50 kilograms, it's actually more. And he was in the same situation of where he felt he just had this skin. And what I find ironic about this is that when Trav decided to have that skin removed and go through the massive adjustment of doing so, I think every man in our academy and every man that knew Trav celebrated him from the mountaintops. Not only is Trav an amazing dude, but it was like, Trav, you fucking absolute legend. Like, good on you. Yet if a woman makes an election to have something done for her without any inference that you should do the same thing, do not join the dots here and say, Erin's a coach, so Erin's saying that all women should tuck their tummy. That's fucking not at all what's being said here. What I think is there is a double standard that exists in society where, women are heavily scrutinized for the way they look, yet a man that has a dad bod is like, you're one of the boys with a dad bod. You. Do you feel that double standard as a woman, both from the cosmetic component and the looks component?
Definitely. Yep. And I guess that's why I haven't been as open up until now about this, because there has been that feeling of like, I don't want to portray the wrong message here for women everywhere. I'm a big believer in women being empowered to love their bodies and appreciate how far you've come. If you've worked hard, celebrate that. But I'm also a big believer that doing what you want and what makes you happy is like nobody else's business. And, this isn't just a cosmetic thing. Yes, there is a cosmetic component to it, but it's like like an internal transformation that needs to happen as well. And in all honesty, if I was to not have done the work on myself and my mindset, there is no way I would have ever signed up for this, because I think having an unrealistic expectation that, oh, I'm going to go get this thing done and I'm going to feel really, really good and I'm going to be super confident and everything's going to be perfect, I don't think that that is what happens at all. At all. So you have to get to a level of like comfortability with yourself and understanding it's not going to be perfect.
Nor is that at all.
Yeah. Like, I guess for women, body positivity and body image is such a big thing. It really is. And, it's the same as girls that decide to go get lip filler or Botox or go get their boobs done. It's such a thing of fake, like, oh, that person is that now because they choose to do that. Oh, and it's such a judgmental thing. And I just think, you know what, if it's not like, I'm not choosing to do this to please anybody else. I'm doing this for me. If I was to go, yeah, I'm going to go get this done to be confident so that people like me more, that's different. I think that that's when you need to reassess what you're doing. But
of other people.
Yeah, but for this, I'm like, I actually, when I look at other women that are in my position with the loose skin, I don't actually look at them like, oh, you need to get that cut off. I would never look at anyone like that. I actually think that it's really empowering to see women accepting it and working really, really hard to, feel really good inside themselves. But as an internal thing for myself as well, I know the effects that it has on me, like pissing myself, like, being intimate and, things like that, that I want to change it for me.
Just to clarify,
Uh,
there's a part of the surgery that resews your abs, which tightens the. Yeah. So to
yes.
all of the guys that are sitting here scratching their head saying, how do you like remove a little bit of skin and stops you from pissing yourself? Just filling in the blanks for them that don't know anything about this. Hey,
So actually started like the whole surgery side of things. It was something that I'd always thought of like, oh, I'd love to do that, but never looked into it. And I went to my doctor about, the wetting myself thing. And I'm like, is there anything that I can do here? And, she's like, you need to go and see like a physiotherapist and do the taping and the exercises. I'm like, I have done that so many times and I still have like this much gap between my abs. Uh, I get really bad lower back pain, all those things that come with it. And she's like, look, the next step is if you have done those things, this is the next step. So that's kind of what started it, actually. It wasn't like, oh, cosmetically, I want to go get this. It was, how do I fix this actual embarrassing problem that I have?
something that I hate about the fitness industry, and for that matter, social media, and I think all of us actually hate this, but whether we talk about it or not enough is a different matter, is that many individuals of influence are not transparent. Now, you could make an argument that why should they be transparent? Because, like you, Erin, I'm entitled to do whatever I want and not talk about that. But I do think that people who are uh, positioning themselves as an influencer or have influence, I feel that there should be some transparency. And one of the things that's rife in the fitness industry is only seeing, the best side of people. And, for me, for example, I hate that there is this kind of underculture around steroids and testosterone use. I'm not against steroids and testosterone use. I'm not against that. I'm against not being transparent. I'm against my son becoming 10 years old and looking at a guy on Instagram and thinking that that's naturally achieved when it's not. And the reason that you approached me to talk about this, if I understand correctly, is that you recognize that maybe it's small at the moment, but if women are going to watch you, you feel the need to be in alignment and to be open, transparent, and vulnerable. Is that correct?
100%. And when I think about this more, being in front of a camera and being a leader, like, I know what it feels like to be lied to by people in the fitness industry.
Talk to us about that. Like, what do you mean? How, and why?
So when I was overweight and I was so desperate for help, I had people trying to sell me the most ridiculous things. They were like ripped body. They're like, yep, if you do this, this is the plan that I follow and you will look like me. And then, further down the track, you find out actually, you don't do that. You were just trying to sell that to me because that's what was making you money at the time. But you actually, like you said, there was enhancements and things like that there that you find out later on and you think that's really disheartening as someone who's really, really struggling and really desperate for help to be lied to and to have that image in your head of that person's worked really hard to get to that, but then you find out they actually haven't. And I don't want to be that person. I want to be someone that goes, I'm on your level. I know where you are. I know what you're going through. But also, I'm still human as well. I'm no better than you. I'm no different. I still have struggles, but I'm going to show you how I get through it rather than, oh, you do it this way and then I'm going to do it a totally different way. I don't think that just doesn't sit right with me. being open and honest with people that are around me watching me is just like the same with my kids. My kids watch me. Being open and honest with them, it's the role model that I want to be for not just my family, but other women watching me as well. You know, I want them to know that it's okay to, you know, feel the way you feel, but there's people out there that want to help and not just piss in your pocket. Um, and yeah, I just, being a coach now as well really just sets in stone like how much shit there is out there. There is so much rubbish that people will tell you just to make a bit of money. And coming into the BBA as a client, I realized that very, very quickly. It is actually super simple. There is no tricks, there's no secrets, it's not rocket science. But for some reason, there's this big culture around you need this, you need that, you need this, you need that. And it's super confusing for someone that just wants to lose a bit of weight and feel really good about themselves.
And when we say
Um,
simple, it the science is simple, the process is not simple. That it's not easy. And the reason this whole thing is challenging and we have such a strong and proud community here, ladies and gents, is because it's hard. It's actually really fucking hard, but it's simple. And the problem is
mm,
we want to make it very complicated because it's so simple. But we want to make it complicated because then that will give an excuse to distract ourselves by going over here and taking this supplement and going over here and doing these ab exercises for a little bit. Look, the process is simple and we try to give you this as clear cut as we can inside our academy. As for fear of carrying this on too long, this I think is a very brave interview and I want to thank you for coming on and telling your story. Is there anything that we've missed here that you'd regret me not asking you that you'd like to mention?
mm, I don't think so. I think just the point here is that I'm not portraying a message of if you lose weight and you have extra skin to go and get it removed. It's not that at all. It's this is my personal choice to make me feel good. And you know what, coming off the back end of like talking about my dad and stuff, that's life. If it makes you feel good and if you are in a position to be able to do things that make you feel good, go and do it because guess what? One day it's not going to be there and you're probably going to regret not doing it.
So, when we talk about giving zero fucks, okay, this is what we mean. We don't mean that all of a sudden you're immune to judgment, that you're immune to feeling bad about being attacked or someone speaking behind your back. You're always going to feel bad about those things. But for Erin, she's willing to put herself into a vulnerable sharing position as a leader in our community. And I think that is absolutely nothing but commendable. The alternative is to close up shop, not talk about her feelings. And this exacerbates the problem. One of the things that we always mentioned when it was Mike and myself building this thing from the ground up, is that we'll tell the truth and we won't hold anything back from our clients where we see an opportunity to help them out. Got some love in the comments. And to those of you that are coming along to our female retreat, which by the way has now, it's either 6 or 7 spots left. This is the insight of what happens when you pull down the barriers. So if you are on the fence and you have the capacity to come and join, don't sit on it anymore. You're going to rue the decision when you come back and you hear from ladies like Erin sharing their vulnerabilities and the stuff they've been through with the intention of trying to pick the crowd up, help you move through the struggles that you're having itself. So on that note, super appreciative, girl, of you coming on and sharing with you, being so vulnerable as the comment section is lighting up. For what it's worth, I appreciate the hell out of you, girl. I appreciate you helping us run the machine that we do. And no doubt to the people listening to this podcast, either live or on replay, they would thank you for your vulnerability. So thank you for coming on. Guys, this has been the Better Body Academy podcast coming to you live this morning. I hope you've enjoyed, and if you have any questions, feel free to direct them directly to Erin if it's something more confidential that you'd like to talk about to her. I'm sure she's very, very open to discussing further. We'll see you guys in the next episode.